The fifth episode of Stranger Things Season 4 is titled The Nina Project. The episode begins with the injured agent in the back of Argyle's van, almost nearing death. Jonathan and Will try to stop his bleeding by putting pressure on it, but to no avail. Just before passing out, he tells the kids to somehow reach Dr. Owens and tell him that the girl is in grave danger. When they ask him how to contact Owens, he utters the word Nina and tells them here's the number, handing them a pamphlet of some sort, but before he can write the number down, the agent passes out. Soon, they see a car chasing them, and everybody yells at Argyle to get off the road amidst all the chaos. Meanwhile, Lieutenant Colonel Sullivan arrives at the remains of the Byers' residence. Upon discovering the letter 11 wrote to Mike, he realizes she was there recently. He then confronts the injured, bleeding-out agent in the home, demanding to know where the girl is if he wants to survive. Simultaneously, Dr. Owens takes 11 to Ruth, Nevada, to a remote desert location where only a door is visible for miles. He opens the door, revealing an old bomb silo now repurposed to help 11 regain her superpowers. Inside, Owens shows her a large tank and explains that the project is called Nina. In a shocking turn of events, Dr. Brenner appears and greets her, saying, "Hello, 11!" Flooded with traumatic memories of Dr. Brenner, 11 tries to run away. Guards intercept her, and a staff member injects her with a drug. As she loses consciousness in Dr. Brenner's arms, he reassures her that he didn't want their reunion to start this way, but he only wants to help her and assures her that everything will be all right. In Russia, Hopper is taken back to the Kamchatka prison, where he is tortured and beaten nearly to death. This time, he is sent to a different part of the prison, where he hears dogs howling and sees blood along the way. Upon arrival, he finds Enzo, also known as Antonov, already there. Hopper starts beating Enzo, but Enzo explains that he too was betrayed by Yuri. He tells Hopper that they both gambled and lost, and now they have to endure the consequences. Hopper then asks Enzo what happened to Joyce. Simultaneously, Yuri ties up Joyce and Murray in his plane, planning to sell them to the Russians. Meanwhile, Nancy wakes Dustin and asks where Max is, as he was supposed to be watching her. Dustin realizes he's been asleep for an hour. Concerned, they rush to the living room of Nancy's home and are relieved to find Max safe and busy drawing. Max shows Nancy the drawings, explaining that it was easier to depict what she saw through illustrations. Nancy recognizes some of the drawings and starts piecing them together like a puzzle. She soon realizes that Max has drawn Victor Creel's house, indicating that Max visited it in the Upside Down. This discovery suggests that Vecna is likely hiding there. Argyle drives his van into an abandoned car lot where they begin digging a grave for the agent. As they bury him, Argyle finds a pizza box and decides to use it as a tombstone, planning to write, "Here lies the hero agent who saved Jonathan, Mike, Will, and Argyle's lives, with the pen the agent had given them." However, the pen doesn't write, making Mike curious about why the agent gave them a non-functional pen. Mike grabs the pen from Argyle, opens it, and discovers a small rolled-up piece of paper inside with a phone number on it. They hurry to a nearby phone booth and call the number, only to find out it connects to a computer, not a person. Realizing they need a hacker, Mike remembers the only hacker he knows, Susie, who lives in Utah. He tells the group that Susie saved the world once before, so she can surely do it again. Back in Nevada, 11 wakes up from a deep sleep and looks around the room, realizing she seems to be back in Hawkins' lab. She sees her drawing with a rainbow and Papa written on it, which she had drawn on her room's wall. Leaving her room, marked with 11 inches on the door, she walks to the living room where they used to gather. An orderly greets her, but she runs away, finding a door labeled Exit. She goes through it, only to end up back in the same room, greeted by the same orderly. 11 repeats this several times, realizing she is stuck in a loop, while Dr. Brenner and others monitor her through a camera. Feeling helpless, she stands on a chair and yells, "Stop it!" into the camera. Soon, Dr. Brenner's voice tells her that she is in her memory. He explains that in 1786, Nicola Dalirac wrote an opera called Nina about a woman named Nina who lost her husband in a duel. The trauma was so intense that she buried the memory deep within her mind and went to the train station every day, waiting for a lover who would never come. Realizing she is trapped in her memory, Eleven listens as Dr. Brenner urges her to embrace it. She begins to relive past memories from her time in Hawkins. Meanwhile, Nancy, Robin, Steve, Dustin, and Max drive to Victor Creel's house to investigate and uncover any secrets that might help them in their fight against Vecna. Once inside, Max notices the same grandfather clock that she and the others who died had seen in their visions. She asks if everyone else can see it, and to her relief, they all can. Soon they notice lights flickering, forming a path as if someone is moving through the house, turning on the lights as they go. They quickly deduce that Vecna is moving through the house, but he is in the upside down. Realizing this, they understand that Vecna is in the same place as them, just in a different dimension. Simultaneously, Jason and his friends are hot on Eddie's trail, who's hiding in Reefer Rick's garage. Suddenly, Patrick, one of Jason's friends from the basketball team, starts seeing the grandfather clock, signaling that he's next. Eddie spots Jason and the others approaching and quickly runs out of hiding, jumping into a boat and paddling away. Jason starts swimming after him, and Patrick follows suit. Just as Jason is about to reach Eddie, Patrick is lifted into the air. His bones crunch, his eyes pop out, and he dies instantly, right in front of Jason and Eddie. Meanwhile, in the medical room, Eleven is revived by doctors after her memory of killing all the children in Hawkins' lab causes her heart rate to spike alarmingly. Dr. Brenner reassures her that she'll be fine, but she grabs whatever is within reach and hits him, then tries to escape. She rushes to the elevator and frantically presses the buttons, but guards soon arrive and restrain her. In an incredible turn of events, Eleven screams, sending the guards flying into the walls, briefly regaining her powers. Dr. Brenner arrives and calls her display remarkable. Eleven attempts to use her powers on him as well, but he tells her that it won't be that easy. The elevator doors open, presenting Eleven with two choices: run away or go back with Dr. Brenner to fully recover her powers. She chooses the latter, calling Brenner Papa, and takes his hand, walking back inside. This concludes the 5th episode of Stranger Things Season 4. The 6th episode of Stranger Things. Season 4 is titled The Dive. The episode begins with the police finding Patrick's body in the arms of a visibly scared and deranged Jason. Chief Powell asks him where Eddie was when all of this was happening. Jason tells him that Eddie is just a vessel of Satan, and that the devil is acting through him. Due to the nature of these claims, the police obviously have some trouble believing him, while Jason pleads with them to pay heed to what he's saying. Later, Chief Powell holds a press conference to update the media on the situation. He announces a session at the City Hall in the afternoon, inviting everyone to attend. He also reveals that they have identified a person of interest, Eddie Munson, displaying his photo for the press. Nancy, Steve, and others present are startled by this revelation. Meanwhile, Eddie steals a radio from a nearby construction site, contacts his friends, and tells them to meet him at Skull Rock. Afterward, Chief Powell holds a session at the City Hall where a group of angry residents bombard him with questions. Chief Powell tries to respond, but Jason interrupts by taking the microphone meant for the audience. He addresses the crowd, claiming he has witnessed things he wishes he hadn't, and suggesting that the events are not the work of humans, but rather of a satanic cult. Jason and his friends distribute pamphlets about the Hellfire Club, accusing Eddie of running this satanic group and alleging that its members are currently hiding him. Erica stands up to defend the club, insisting it is merely a club for nerds, but her words fall on deaf ears. Jason urges everyone to get up and find Eddie or any one of his club members, which also includes Mike, Lucas, and Dustin. Meanwhile, back in Nevada, Dr. Brenner explains to Eleven that, after an accident, we can sometimes forget basic skills like walking or talking. Similarly, Eleven has forgotten how to use her powers, but they are still within her, and the only way to rekindle them is by revisiting her past. He places 11 back into the tank, and she begins to relive her memories. In one memory, a kind orderly tells 11 that she reminds him of 1. 11 responds that 1 doesn't exist, but the orderly insists that Papa often lies and hides the full truth. He reveals that 1 discovered a memory that made him not only sad, but also angry, enabling him to access his full power. The orderly then asks 11 if she remembers the woman who once came into her room, calling her by a different name. He reveals that the woman was her mother. Shocked, 11 recalls that Papa told her that her mother died giving birth to her, but the orderly tells her that this too was a lie. Meanwhile, Dustin, Steve, and the others try to reach Skull Rock to find Eddie. Steve argues that Dustin is leading them the wrong way, but Dustin insists he's following the map correctly, heading north as the compass indicates. Steve, however, claims he knows the way better since he made Skull Rock famous. Taking the lead, Steve eventually guides them to Eddie, and everyone is relieved to find him safe. After pacing around for a bit, Dustin solves the mystery of the misbehaving compass. He explains that the compass only deflects in the presence of a strong electromagnetic field. Lucas quickly adds that there must be a smaller gate to the Upside Down nearby, meaning they now have a chance to defeat Vecna. Back in Kamchatka, Hopper, Antonov, and a few other prisoners are given a lavish meal before being thrown to a demodog. The prisoners' eyes light up at the sight of such an extravagant spread, but Hopper becomes suspicious. One inmate tells the others he saw 6 men dine here a few nights ago, only to be fed to the monster afterward, lasting less than 30 seconds. He suggests the food is meant to strengthen them for the fight against the creature. Hopper disagrees and asks if the monster looked like the demodog he describes. The prisoner is amazed and asks how Hopper knew that. Hopper explains he has seen and fought one before. He reveals that the reason they are being fed to the demodog is to keep it active. If the creature isn't fed, it becomes lazy and dormant. The guards want to make sure the demodog stays alert and deadly by having them fight it. This revelation fills the room with tension, causing everyone to shudder. Meanwhile, after crash landing their plane, Joyce and Murray tie Yuri to a pole and demand directions to the prison. Yuri refuses, insisting he won't help without some money, and claims they won't harm him. Murray points out that Yuri is tied up in a desolate area with no humans for miles around, and they could just leave him there. Realizing his predicament, Yuri has a change of heart and leads them to his warehouse, where he has guns and supplies locked up. Upon arrival, they realize it's the same church where Hopper was captured by the guards. There, Joyce and Murray devise a master plan. Murray will disguise himself as Yuri and infiltrate the prison, claiming he has brought Joyce and Murray as prisoners. Back in Nevada, 11 relives a memory where she competes against the formidable 4. In this competition, each contestant stands in a circle and tries to fling their opponent out using only their powers. 4 easily defeats all the other kids before facing off against 11. Digging deep, 11 manages to beat him decisively, which leaves 4 feeling angry and resentful toward her. Later, 11 sees the kind orderly being punished and tortured by Dr. Brenner and other orderlies through a window. Dr. Brenner notices someone watching, but 11 escapes before he can identify her. She then goes to the living room, where 4 and his goons surround her and use their powers to slam her into the wall. 4 threatens 11, warning that if she tells Papa, he will kill her. In her current memory, she only lies there and sobs, but in the actual past event, she becomes furious and kills everyone in the lab. This prompts Dr. Brenner to ask the infamous question, "What have you done?" 11 wakes up out of breath and tells Brenner that she now remembers what happened and that she killed all those people. Following Dustin's theory that a gate to the Upside Down might be nearby, the group reaches Lover's Lake using the compass. They find a boat and decide to investigate the lake. Nancy, Robin, Eddie, and Steve get into the boat, instructing the kids to stay on land for safety. After rowing for a while, they reach a spot where the compass needle goes haywire, indicating that a gate might be beneath them, deep in the water. Steve, the best swimmer among them and former co-captain of the high school swimming team, volunteers to dive in. After swimming straight down, he finds the gate and returns to the surface to inform the others. However, a vine from the Upside Down follows him and drags him back into the Upside Down. Seeing this, Nancy jumps into the lake to save Steve, followed by Robin, and finally Eddie, who is left alone in the boat, reluctantly jumps in to help. At the same time, the cops arrive at the lake searching for Eddie. To divert them, Max, Dustin, and Lucas create a distraction, drawing the cops away from the lake, but they end up getting caught. Meanwhile, in the Upside Down, Steve is dragged a significant distance by the vines and then attacked by bat-like creatures that start eating away at his body. This concludes the 6th episode of Stranger Things Season 4.